Hey everyone, and welcome back finally to another severe storm film or weather forecast. In this forecast, we got lots of severe weather to talk about, especially for northern portions of the United States. So let's get right into it without further ado. Taking a look here at the jet stream as we head into this evening, okay? There's going to be some pretty darn significant severe weather up here in Canada this evening on the eastern periphery of this ridge. Okay, and I can't rule out maybe some more organized storms in this area if we could get some to develop. But this piece of energy in Canada, what that's going to do is that's going to blast into the northeast as we head in towards tomorrow, okay? And that's going to produce a rare, high-end severe weather outbreak driven off of significant damaging wind gusts. We'll take a closer look at this here in just a second. But yeah, I'm looking at some significant severe weather up here in Quebec, Montreal, Ottawa, Fredericton, that general area, just Maine and New England, too, when you're talking about the United States. But I don't want to leave you guys out over here. Okay, there could be some stronger storms over here. In addition to that, there's going to be a heat wave setting up across this area. Okay, this ridge is going to be so expansive that's going to push the jet stream way up to Canada, and that's going to keep these areas hot and dry as we headed towards Tuesday. And then as we head into Wednesday, notice how that ridge starts to back off a little bit. Okay, this is when we could start seeing maybe a couple pieces of energy try to ride the, periphery of this ridge. And maybe that could spell trouble for maybe a complex of storms or two, especially in the upper Midwest on Wednesday. As we head into Thursday, another trough dropping into the northeast. Maybe that produces more severe weather, maybe closer to this area. That's going to be something to watch out for. If anything, that would be definitely a mesoscale convective system capable of producing damaging straight line winds, okay? That's what this ring of fire pattern does. And as we head in towards Friday, maybe favoring areas further south into the lower Great Lakes, upper Midwest, and into the upper Ohio Valley, where I think we could see several windbags, okay, from Friday all the way to Sunday, okay? I mean, just look at this. The northwest flow is just relentless across this entire area, and I could see where we have maybe even a derecho event as we head in towards Saturday and Sunday, okay? Or maybe just a significant line of storms that impacts this area and, up here on Saturday. Okay, I could see where we have that, and this is the pattern that could absolutely support that. As we head in towards next week, things become a lot more uncertain. However, I do want to show how when that trough drops down, there's a little piece of energy on the tail end of it. Okay, a piece of energy in the Gulf on the tail end of that cold front. The Gulf waters are warm, and it looks like there's going to be very little to no wind energy. Maybe a tropical system as we head in towards early next week, okay? I forgot to mention, we're also watching a potential tropical system, okay? I could see where we have, some very heavy rains, in Florida or somewhere if this were to happen, okay? Nonetheless, this would need to be watched, okay? And you notice how it just shows some crazy stuff after this. This is becoming an upper level low with tons of moisture, probably rounds of severe weather and flooding across this area. You just get it, okay? It's just going to remain active, and we obviously have that potential of a tropical system. So let's take a look at our precipitation trends without further ado. And taking a look here at the precipitation trends as we head into the next 7 days, okay? Starting with today, again, like I said before, some significant severe weather is going to unfold up here in Canada, and there could be some pop-up storms that could go strong across, the lower Great Lakes, even though it's not showing much. I think that piece of energy could fire at least a couple storms, especially across, lower Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, that general area. And then as we head into the daytime hours tomorrow, again, that piece of energy will slip right into the northeast, creating the potential of a significant windbag situation with significant damaging wind gusts being a possibility. Not ruling out a derecho at this point, okay? It's uncertain, but I'm definitely not ruling it out. So definitely be staying weather aware if you live in the northeast, okay? Despite a derecho, there's the potential of some significant damaging wind gusts with a line of storm. So you got to be monitoring things. And there's also the potential of a few tornadoes embedded within that line, or any supercells that form ahead of it as well, okay? Taking this into Wednesday, again, like I said before, the flow will begin to kind of push the ridge to the west, okay? So a heat wave is still going to be ongoing for this area. However, we will likely start to see at least some form of pop-up activity in this area. It's not going to be widespread, as you could see, but any pop-ups that develop within this northwest flow could potentially try to turn strong to severe, especially when it comes to the potential for some damaging straight line or downburst winds. So that's going to be something to watch out for there if you live anywhere in those areas. Thursday, much of the same. We're probably going to be dealing with pop-ups in a decent amount of this area. And there could be another trough that swings in with more severe weather across the northeast. And then as we head into Friday, this is when the Ring of Fire, like I said, is going to start retrograding for areas further west and further south. Okay, so now favoring this area rather than the northeast. Okay, that would be an area to watch for perhaps a more significant event Friday and into Saturday. All right, you can see how that unfolds. All right, I mean, you can see that's literally showing kind of a windbag situation across this area. Okay, that would be definitely something to watch out for. The location specifics remain unclear at this point, but like I said before, noting the jet stream, it would probably be good to watch this entire area for the potential of an event sometime between Friday and into Saturday. Okay, actually multiple events. Okay, I mean, and you can see as we headed towards Saturday and into Sunday, a trough is going to drop out of Canada, and that's going to produce some significant stuff up here in the upper Midwest, and we could have complex activity down there in the lower Great Lakes there. And you can see as we head in towards Sunday how that piece of energy comes down. That would probably be a big problem for this entire area for possibly a significant damaging wind gust event. That's going to be something to watch out for, and maybe a series of them, as we head in towards Monday. Okay, so that's going to be something to watch out for very closely. And then there's your potential tropical system as we head in towards Tuesday into Wednesday. Okay, let me show you how this evolves. Okay, I mean, you could see here how we have a boundary that's sticking down into the Gulf. Okay, on the tail end of that boundary, there's a bit of spin. Okay, and I mean, your cold front flow is this way. Okay, you usually have southerlies ahead of it, and you have northwest flow behind it. Okay, there's going to be tons of northwest flow, but there's also going to be spin going out that way. Okay, and it coming around back this way. Okay, so that could potentially try to fuel a tropical system as we head in towards Tuesday and into Wednesday. Okay, if this were to happen, this would be a big problem for Florida and the Southeast. Okay, it's not a guarantee it happens, but like I said, really got to monitor things. And then you see how it just remains active, especially across this entire area where there's going to be tons of northwest flow, the potential of these mesoscale convective systems, maybe a derecho event or two. So yeah, definitely not going to see an end in sight for that active pattern anytime soon. And now taking a peek here at our hazardous heat with this ridge over the course of the next few days. As we head in towards this afternoon, widespread 90s up to 105-degree heat indexes across this entire area, okay? So definitely make sure to limit your time outdoors, drink plenty of water or fluids, and then as we head into tomorrow, as that ridge kind of expands, there's going to be a more widespread area for the potential of some dangerous heat all the way from the northern plains and high plains back to the northeast and Great Lakes, where heat indexes could potentially try to surpass 100 in spots. And as we head into Wednesday, I mean, it doesn't stop there, okay? Again, we're still going to be under this ridge across this entire area, okay? Granted, it's going to be breaking down, because we're going to have flow in this area trying to punch against it, but I mean, yeah, it's still going to be pretty darn scorching hot across the circled areas. And then as we head into Thursday, we're still going to be feeling probably pretty dang hot across this area, okay? The ridge is going to be breaking down at this point, though, and by Friday, this is when I think we could start seeing some more active weather across this area, so the heat indexes might be a bit more tampered, when it comes to those, heat indexes. But, as we head in towards Saturday, that's a big difference. You can see how we get that trough in here, the potential of, some sort of complex of storms kind of trying to trim those temperatures. So that should really help. However, if you live anywhere in this area, it is still going to be very hot, okay? So make sure you're still taking those heat precautions seriously. Finally, the relief comes as we headed towards Sunday, where the trough is going to force the ridge down south. Okay, this is when we start watching for the potential of a tropical system down there. You can kind of see it outlined in the Gulf there. And as we head in towards Monday, I mean, you notice how these heat indexes are still trying to spike 105, 110 down here where you see those maroon colors and those kind of pinkish colors. And as we head in towards, all of next week, I mean, it's definitely looking a lot more, comfortable up here, but down here, not so much, especially with a tropical system brewing, in addition to the potential of another heat wave. So definitely a hot forecast for a lot of people in the United States. All right, and let's now take a closer look at the potential of that tropical system as we head towards this upcoming weekend and in towards early next week, okay? Taking a look here at the European ensemble, you notice how several members have at least a tropical system brewing, okay? A couple have the potential of a Category 1 hurricane or, sometimes maybe even trying to squeeze out a Category 2. But yeah, definitely the signal there of some tropical development across this area, whether it's a high-end tropical storm or a hurricane remains to be determined right now. But the next name on the list is Bertha, and if all of this comes to fruition and it doesn't hit land too quick, I could see where we have Bertha, within the next 7 days or so. Okay, so definitely be staying weather aware if you live down there closer to, the Florida Panhandle, maybe even the Gulf as well. And you notice it's uncertain what this thing does after, after midweek, but I mean, some models even show a stronger low getting up here into the, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, back into the Northeast, which would need to be watched, okay? But yeah, you can see how several members just have the potential of a pretty decent tropical system down there within the next week or so. And granted, this tropical storm, this tropical system, if it were to happen, would dump tons of rainfall on the Gulf Coast, okay? I do want to tell you guys something, okay? Even if this does not grow into a mature tropical storm or even a tropical depression even, let alone, a Category 1 hurricane like some models are showing, it's still going to likely dump a ton of rainfall across, the Florida Panhandle and then possibly swathing all the way through the southeast. Okay, that's what I think, the path I think it could potentially take. Okay, a lot remains to be seen right now. But like I said before, even if this does not for some reason become a mature tropical system, which granted, I think it's more likely than not going to become a tropical storm or some sort of hurricane, but if for some reason it doesn't, it's still going to dump a boatload of rainfall on the Florida Panhandle up into the southeast and then maybe eventually the northeast, depending on how that trends as well. And let's now take a look finally at our severe weather threat in the northeast tomorrow, okay? Again, it's looking very significant, especially for extreme southern Canada back into, the UP or the upper portion of New York, the New England states, all the way into Maine, where I think we could have a significant damaging wind event, okay? You can see how we have the potential of 75 plus mile an hour winds, a SIG 1 hatching here that goes through Maine and New England back probably into Montreal if, Storm Prediction Center could forecast that there. And you can see how we could have a few tornadoes across this area as well. Not a very common threat for the Northeast, so please make sure you're staying weather aware as we head into tomorrow evening. Let's dive into some short-range model data. And now taking a look at that short-range model data, and then we will end the video here, okay? As we head into tomorrow, again, a significant severe weather event is likely for the Northeast, okay? I think the models are underdoing this, okay? Granted, it shows a couple clusters of storms. Some of you guys might be like, well, the models are pretty much true all the time. First of all, that's not true. Second of all, I think this is going to be a lot of a heck more organized, okay? Or maybe it'll be outflow driven. We'll have to wait and see, but I would probably say the best bet right now is a complex of storms spanning Montreal all the way back to Quebec and northern Maine, and then it would probably drop south or southeast from there through the evening, okay? Why I think that? Well, I mean, the ingredients are there for a big complex of storms and not just several unorganized scattered clusters, okay? I mean, just look at this flow. It is absolutely insane I mean, we're talking about 50 to 70 knots in the 500 millibar layer. We're talking about a rather strong 700 millibar jet, a very powerful 850 millibar jet. You know, tons of humidity. In addition to that, tons of instability, okay? I mean, we're talking about those instability values possibly creeping toward 4,000 joules per kilogram, okay? I think we could have a severe threat anywhere in this area as we head into tomorrow, okay? And it could absolutely be pretty dang significant if you ask me, okay? So absolutely you guys have to watch if you live over there, okay? Not just for the potential of significant line winds, but there's also the potential of some significant tornadoes. Okay, the significant tornado parameter is spiking across this entire area starting tomorrow evening, and it even goes all the way down here into the overnight hours. Okay, so damaging winds with the potential of tornadoes, which could be strong on the table for the Northeast and Montreal, Quebec, and Ottawa as we headed towards tomorrow evening. All right, folks, that's all I had for you guys on this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, hype the video, and comment down below if you have any questions about your specific area. I will try to get to the comments as soon as possible. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe out there, everybody.